being said, I would like to welcome each and every one of you, and I also like to share my screen. So I would like you all to confirm, or someone to confirm to me that you can see my screen before I proceed. Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So here we go. The topic of today's webinar, as earlier introduced by our anchor, is the data visualization techniques for effective communication. And I'm yours sincerely, Mohamed Tawfiq Hamza. And it's currently 6 p.m. here in South Korea. I don't know what time it is over there, so I usually find it difficult sometimes to tell someone good evening, good day. And so usually say good day, everyone. So you pick your sub. If you're morning, then you replace the good day with the day with morning. And if you're afternoon, then you replace it with afternoon. So with that, won't have to offend anyone. So good day, everyone. You're once again welcome to the Little Drop Educational Bootcamp webinar. And today we're going to be exploring what data visualization techniques could do for you when it comes to communicating effectively and strategically. So here it's a glimpse of what we're going to talk about today, and also what we're going to do today, because we'll be having a little kind of a demo. So today webinar, I'll be presenting to you 4 buckets of topics or activities. So the first being we realizing the importance, will help us to understand and realize the importance of data visualization in effective communication. And next, we'll talk about the power of sevens. And when I talk about the power of sevens, I mean the 7 key principles for creating impactful visualization, the 7 common types of data visualization, the 7 techniques and tools for presenting data in a meaningful way, and the 7 best data visualization softwares in 2003, according to Forbes Advisor. And we'll have an opportunity to see what those some of those tools are, especially my favorite ones. And we have a case studies here, and then we'll demo it, showcasing how a successful data visualization should be. And the favorite part, actually the demo is actually the favorite part, because I like playing with data a lot. So sometimes talking, it looks like I like talking, but I think I like data more. But whatever it is in this presentation, you're going to find out which is it. But most importantly, there's a bonus at the end of this presentation. And in the bonus, I'm going to show us some tools, right? Like 2 tools or 3 tools, one of which you could use it to summarize any web page when you don't have to do any installation, you don't need to sign up and anything. So it's probably a tool that you see every day, but you don't know that you could use it for that. So imagine you're reading, you have about 10 or 1 tons of publications to read from the web, or you're actually accessing a web page and then you don't want to read through, then you can just activate this feature, and then you can just chat and then ask questions, more like you're having your chat GPT, but not chat GPT as chat GPT, but chat GPT as a summarizer. So helping you to summarize your web page. And also I'm going to show us a tool that with just a prompt, you can just convert a text to images. And most of the images you're actually seeing here, we actually generated using that software, not that software, that website actually. And in seconds, actually, yeah, definitely in seconds. So not really something to bore yourself about. It's very interesting. So that being said, I would like to proceed. So here there's a question for us. What is data visualization? So usually when I present, I ask questions like, what is data visualization? And a lot of people, oh, data is this, data is that. So maybe you could have just 1 or 2 people, just in 1 sentence, tell us what they think data is. Anyone?
Okay. My name is Ajibo Ismail Kolawole. A data can be referred to as the basic raw facts. The facts can be figured, can be number.
Okay. What about data visualization actually? So if you tell us what data is that different from data visualization?
Data visualization can, okay. Data visualization can be referred to as the way in which the data or information are being presented to user in order to find just the summarization of the whole thing. If I may put it that.
Yeah, that's pretty it. But when you start diving into data, it's a lot more than what he has actually said. So basically, I like to talk of data or to think of data in the words of Sherlock Holmes, where in his play where he mentioned data, data, data. I can't make bricks without clay. I so much love this quote, and I don't think I've ever started any data talks or even whether formal or informal without actually talking about this data, data, data. I can't make bricks without clay. It's actually in a play by Sherlock Holmes. It's a statement attributed to him very long time ago. But it is of utmost importance for you or for us to understand what data actually is. And also right there in the statement, we can actually make some deductions with respect to visualization itself. So data, 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 I can't make bricks without clay. If you actually want to just translate, I can't make bricks without clay, it makes a lot of meaning on its own, right? So you definitely can't make bricks without a clay, right? So in this just trying to say that you can't actually make any building without having the right materials. So the same thing when it comes to you analyzing the data or cleaning the data, extracting the data, loading the data, transforming the data, doing whatever you want to do with data, you can't do that without having the right materials. So without the right materials, there's really nothing much you could do with the data. You could have a chunk of data, like in the world right now, there's a chunk of data that is available. People take a lot of data, but not much is actually not been done with that data, simply because the right materials or the right tools are actually not been there. And when we talk about the right materials or the right tools, it could be the skills, it could be the technical know-how, it could be even understanding of something as little as the history of that particular data. Where was the data collected? Why was it collected? Whom collected it? And then where is the data stored? Has the data been truncated? Is data clean? Can the data be trusted? Is it obsolete? Is the data like a lot of questions you could ask from there? So that is why you see sometimes we have a lot of data. Almost every country has a lot of data, and they're really not making much of the data. And in recent time, the interest for data is actually increasing. And personally, I fell in love with data, not really because I actually want to take, I actually see it as a kind of a skills at first. I just needed it to, I felt it's an important part of any job you have. I feel it's a skill that you must have. I can remember like 10 years ago, usually maybe I was in year 3 or so. And when I go to maybe short interviews and all of that, and then they'll ask questions like, oh, do you know Excel? Can you use Excel and all of that? But these days, no one asks you that because it has been normalized that you should be able to use Excel. The same thing with Microsoft PowerPoint. You get a job or you go for an internship, no one is going to tell you that, oh, this is how you should make a presentation. All you could just be told, oh, come and present the data, or come and present your experience for the next 1 week. It's not left for you to figure out how to do it. And that's how I started learning a lot of things, self-learning, even though some of the data analysis skills I actually have were part of my jobs in the past couple of years, but I actually didn't get intentional about going into data until just less than 2 years ago. And less than 4 months of being intentional about it, that's when I got to be part of the Green Climate Fund ICT team, and we've been doing a great work there. So that is data, data, data. I can't make bricks without clay. You can't analyze data, you can't clean data, you can't visualize data, you can't gain insights from data, you can't even use data to make a factual decision about anything without data. Recently, in the less than 2 years ago, Ahmed Bello University Zaria, which is my alma mater, demolished one of the monuments in front of the building, and that's in the main gates. And then they kind of build it back by giving another one, right? Like they demolish the old one and then give a new one. But a lot of reactions was on the internet. Oh, that's monument. It's been long. It's a symbol for Sedona. A lot of us that passed through that school will love that. So when the management decided that what should they do or what can they do, and then they had to just something as simple as Google survey. They just take a Google survey for everybody and take that survey. And based on that survey, they were able to add with other investigation they do. So that means they use that data to support the fact that, yes, they need to bring back that old monument. So that old monument is back today. That's to tell you the importance of data if you really want to make use of the data. And that is all about this one line. In 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, I may not be able to complete explaining what this one line is, which is the data. I can't make bricks without clay, even though Sherlock Holmes did not make use of it in relation to data, but I've been able to give a lot of meanings to it and use it to explain a lot of things. So from what we've said with this, just this one line, we could conclude that data visualization is the graphical representation of data to aid understanding, analysis, and decision-making. Next is also that it leverages visual elements such as charts, graphs, maps, and infographics to present data in a meaningful and intuitive way. We're going to see some of these charts in the course of this presentation. And lastly, data visualization provides solution by transforming complex data into visual representation that are easier to understand, analyze, and communicate. So the more of the skills that you have, the more it's easy for you to communicate with your audience, with your managers, with your colleagues, with your client, with whosoever you want to communicate with, without necessarily having to write bogus report about something. And all you just need just have a kind of a chart and then a visuals and then have a tooltips or summary of that particular chart. We're going to see how you make use of how you in 5 minutes, you can make a chart in Power BI and then add summary and add tooltips. We're going to see in the course of this presentation, and we could see some important tools in Excel, important feature in Excel that could help you to summarize your data just for you to have a kind of a glimpse of what your data is. Yeah. So now you may be asking or wondering why should you visualize your data? That is before this, but right now I know you're already thinking, you already have an idea of why you should visualize your data. And here are just four reasons why you should actually visualize your data. The first of it is it enhances comprehension. So when you have your data being visualized or you are visualizing data by using a pie chart, for instance, showing a composition between Nigeria, Abuja, and Port Harcourt, for instance, or between Seoul, Incheon, and Daegu, or between Southampton in UK, Northampton, and maybe Teesside or something. So if you have those three, and then you have students over there, and you really need to see a glimpse of how many students are in this place compared to the larger population. If you are to write that in Microsoft Word or for you to type, it's going to take a lot of time for you to do all of that. But when you have just a pie chart and then you just have the proportionate without saying anything, whosoever sees that will understand that this is what is happening either in any country. So that tells you how much it enhances comprehension. And it just doesn't enhance comprehension for your audience, it also simplifies complex information. Sometimes I find it difficult to be able to explain some things to my clients, especially maybe when I'm freelancing or while I'm still with my managers or something. So even when I'm just asked to just take a look at the data, or maybe I have a task to do, I try as much as possible to go the extra mile to summarize that data using a pivot table. So you use the pivot table, and sometimes if it's complex, I add a slicer to it. So in case there's not what you want to see, you just slice the whole data by selecting what you want to see. So it makes my communication easy. So I have less wordings in my report and more visuals, and it makes it more interesting and more captivating. It actually even brings the beauty of your work, right? So it saves your time, it saves your audience time, but you really need to know how to do these things. You need to know how to use it. You need to know which tools to use. For instance, there are some data that you don't need Excel for. You don't, if you're typing in Microsoft Word, you could actually just visualize that data right there in Microsoft Word and do all the formatting in Microsoft Word with just 2 clicks. You can do the same thing in PowerPoint. We're going to see the PowerPoint here. Yeah, we're going to see how to do it in PowerPoint, and then we'll have a data that we'll have a data, and then we'll already have it written in Word, and then we'll convert it from Word, we'll convert it to table, from table, we'll now convert it to a chart, and then you see the difference and you judge yourself. And we'll have a lot of other case studies where we're going to make use of this visualizing data visualization techniques. That being said, next is it helps you to facilitate pattern recognition, which you cannot probably find it easily in Word when you're writing something, typing in wordings, or when you just write it down. Maybe in the year 2022, Tip Top Taste Restaurant make a total sales of 1,155 from the sale of rice, gari, eba, semo, pizza, and all of that. You can imagine seeing all of those things. Well, you can just probably just do that with just one chart, bar chart, line chart, whatsoever kind of chart you feel it's important for you to use. It's very easy for you to do that. And well, we're going to see the common types of data visualization and how they look like, and then when and how you should visualize them. So those are also some of the techniques that you really need to know. So and when it comes to visualization, I don't really believe that a data analyst or there's a particular set of people that need to know how to visualize data. Everybody needs to know how to visualize data because everybody is communicating. So it should be a part of your skills. Because right now, I don't expect you or anyone to be in the pass through the university or even in the college or anywhere, not being able to know how to use Microsoft PowerPoint, for instance, or all of those things, because actually no one will teach you, and those are things that is important for you. Or even the Google Sheet, for instance. Like for me now in my household, all our expenses and everything, I track it by using spreadsheet, my earnings in and out and everything. So sometimes, and then I started it, it was a bit stressful, but now I have a template and it was so awesome. And the good thing about it is it's even much more interesting for me when I start, okay, let me see. I have a lot of buckets, how much and monthly salary, maybe gigs, gifts, whatsoever, and all of that. And then I was like, okay, let me just visualize this thing. And sometimes most of the visualization techniques I learned on Google spreadsheets was actually by using my own personal data I generated myself. Not that I had to look for a data set. Yeah, because every day we have data every day. You can start recording your sleeping pattern from today, like what time you slept today, you record it, you write the day, the month, and in the next 1 month, look at that data, and you'll be able to determine your sleeping pattern. I task you, for instance, today, when you try to sleep, have a spreadsheet, have a first column, day one, and then write the day and day of the week, the year, and then sleep time and wake up time, just 4 or 5 columns. So the time you're going to sleep, you just put it on, you don't do anything, you close your eyes, you sleep. The moment you woke up, you do something, you take note of the time, you enter the time you wake up. Do that for 1 month, right? If you should be able to do that for 1 month, you have a data. But you may be asking yourself or want to ask me, what are you going to do with that data? You can do a lot with that data. First, a lot of productivity issues that we have at work, in our life, in our personal life, is simply because we don't sleep at the right time. So that you sleep too much or you don't sleep adequately. So with that data, you can be able to identify your sleeping pattern. That is where visualization facilitates pattern recognition. You can be able to see your sleeping pattern. Okay, how am I sleeping? Okay, what time should I be sleeping? And you can even use that to even understand your body system. Oh, the moment I close my eyes, I sleep off so time and all of that. You can do a lot of things. And then at the end of the day, ultimately, it's going to help you to support decision making. And you can just categorize that decision by maybe you are nocturnal or diurnal. Some people are more active at night and some are less active at day. Some people just need 3 or 4 hours to sleep at night and they're okay, and a nap in the afternoon, 1 hour. But if you actually don't monitor yourself, find the pattern, how will you be able to make a data-driven decision? Because a data-driven decision is actually a decision that is factual, that is more likely not to be detrimental. So this is just an overview of why you should visualize your data. And next is the power of sevens, right? So the first power of sevens we're going to see is the 7 key principles for effective data visualization. So usually I come up with this acronym that I used to remember this, and I refer to it as PASACs so that I don't forget sometimes. So it's a tool I actually, it's an acronym I developed over time, PASACs, which P stands for purpose, A for audience, S for simplicity, A for accuracy, C for consistency, C for context, and then lastly, S for storytelling. So taking it one after the other, when it comes to purpose, right? So you just don't wake up and say, hey, I'm visualizing data. You need to understand. You need to ask yourself some questions. Sometimes it may not be yourself. For instance, if your manager gives you a data for you to go and analyze or visualize, you just don't go and start analyzing and visualizing. No, you need to ask your manager, ask your audience, okay, what is the purpose of this data? What do you want me to, what are you looking forward to see? So if the data, if maybe you're in a sales team and your sales manager says, oh, I want to see the percentage of sales for our non-active product in the year 2022 to 2023. Oh, I want to see the trend of the product from 2001 to 2020. Those as a purpose. So that if it is a trend, that will help you to determine, oh, it's a trend. What kind of chart should I use? Oh, let me use a line chart. Oh, let me use a scatter plot, all of that. It's the purpose. It helps you to be able to make the design. So if you don't know the purpose, then you just probably just doing what is called exploratory visualization. If your data is already cleaned and you're just visualizing. But if your data is not cleaned and then you want to do analysis, then you call that exploratory analysis. You don't know what you're doing. You just have a data and just want to try to make sense out of the data. So that's the purpose. But at the same time, you need to understand your audience. Who are the kind of people that you are who are the kind of people that will consume the data you've actually visualized, the graphics you've developed, whatever you're doing, and you've represented it visually, who are your audience? And when you're considering your audience, you really need to consider some specific things like the kind of color you use, because you need to look for colors that is not conflicting to people that have color blindness. And you'll be shocked when you Google the percentage of number of people that have color blindness, you'll be surprised. So you need to know the kind of colors that you need to combine so that even if you have color blindness, you'll be able to see it. And then the complexity of your data, you really need to know. All of this will help you if you know your audience. For instance, you want to show people that probably don't even know what Microsoft Excel is or don't even know what Tableau, Killing, Sense, Tableau, whatever, I don't know what they are. They don't even know what visualization is. They just want you to come out and do a presentation for them on why they should sleep 10 a.m. and not 2 a.m., 10 p.m. and not 2 a.m. So for that, you could just have a simple bar chart that they could just see 2 a.m., 10 p.m., result of your survey, and they see it, and they could clearly understand it. But when you now bring something like a bubble chart, for instance, and then it's difficult for them to understand, okay, what's all this? Where's the bubble coming from and all of that, right? So that's, okay, I'm sorry about that. So that's that about the audience. Then when you talk about the simplicity, is very important. A lot of people usually think that, oh, the more complex or the more complex your data, your visualization is, the more it shows that you are a guru or you know your work. And no, something just need to keep it simple. Yeah, simplicity is the key, right? Because the simpler it is, the beautiful it is, and then the less it gets cluttered, and then the more your audience understand what you're doing, and the more it's easy for you to even pass the information you are expected to pass, right? And at the same time, you need to be consistent. Consistency is very, very important. Like you need to be consistent. If you're using labels, for instance, you have a presentation of maybe let's say Champions League, for instance. Though I'm not a fan of football, I only play, I don't watch, right? So, but let's say you have a football and you have a team, and then team A, team B, team C. And then team A, in your first slide of visualization, you're representing team A with color blue. Then the next slide, you're now representing the same team A with color C. It gets your audience confused, and it doesn't even show how much you actually who you are expected to be in terms of visualizing the data. You expect it to be that person that makes data easy, that represents complex data in a simple, appealing, attractive, and intuitive way. And at the same time, the context is very important. The background information. That is why in most of all these tools that you see, there's what is called tooltips. There's legends, there's labels, there's captions, you have titles, you have headings, you have subheadings, you have labeling of the y-axis, x-axis, and all of that. Almost all tools has that. So it's very important for you to be able to develop that skill, especially. And the most interesting part of it, and which is usually the part that most people don't pay attention with, even some experts don't pay attention to. I was able to attend a webinar like last year, and I see how this person was telling a story, but all of that story just like a storybook of maybe 15 pages, but everything in that story is from a data, and every data from one page to page A to page B are connected. So that is how much you how much that presenter has actually developed his skills in terms of visualization. He already has that technique. You should be able to use your visualization techniques, your charts, your tables. You should be able to use them to create a narrative that will guide your viewer through the entire data journey, because your data analysis, your data presentation, your reports, your monthly report, weekly report, end of year report, all of that, it is a journey, right? Which will be best told if it's visually and not writing. And then when you're writing everything, writing, and you have like 50 pages, whereas you can incorporate a blend of both and it becomes 15 pages, and you automatically going to have a more likelihood of your reports being read and understood clearly, because you have a summary of the in Word, and then you back it up with the visuals that is necessary. Then the next is the 7 common types of data. So in the 7 type of data here, we have 7 tips, and techniques on data visualizations for effective. Okay, sorry, yeah, 7 common types of data visualizations. So we have there are a lot of data visualization techniques, right? A lot. There's a lot of them, and here I'm just presenting 7 for us, so we understand and what and how or when to use this data. The first being bar charts, and you usually use it to compare different categories, right? And in case you're wondering what bar chart is, then you can just look at here. This is just an example of what a bar chart is, right? And then the line chart is used to visualize trends and patterns over time or continuous variables. Then here we have it here. This is a line chart, for instance, and you could use it to identify trend, like your sleeping pattern over an 1 month, 1 week. And then we have the pie chart, which is usually represent specific categories or segments of a whole data. And then this how a pie chart look, even though there are different variations of a bar chart, the same thing with pie chart, there are different variations of it. For bar chart now, for instance, you have the stacked bar chart, the column bar chart, and all of that. And even for pie chart, you have the donut chart, we have the 3D, the 2D, and all of that. But sometimes if it doesn't, and if sometimes it's not really necessary for you to make use of those kind of ones. You just really need to know the right ones to use. Yeah, but don't forgetting the tips and the key principles we've mentioned earlier, which is you keeping it simple. Then we have the scattered plots, which are useful for identifying correlations, clusters, and even outliers in the data. For instance, now all this data now, you could see maybe like this kind of one here. It's correlated because we have all the data points close together, but assuming you have a point that is here, that means this particular data is an outlier. And then maybe you could start having insights. Maybe if you actually recorded the laying, how much of your poultries are laying eggs, and then you check this, and on this day you now notice, okay, why is this scatter? Why is this distant from these people and this other ones? Then you decide to check the data itself, and you notice that, oh, it was the day where I wasn't sure of what I recorded, or it was the day where rain fell and I didn't take the data accurately. So visualization helps you to understand and even be able to back trace your steps on 1 or 2 things you've done in the past. Then when we talk about the geographic maps, so you can think of maybe like the COVID-19 data, which is one of the popular data set that a lot of people have analyzed in a lot of boot camps and other data analysis courses. And the COVID-19 data sets, usually you see geographic maps or maybe like a world map, and then where you just hover your mouse over it, it shows you that, oh, this is the amount of this is the number of people that were that were infected with COVID. These are the number of death cases, incident cases, and all of that. So you make use of geographic maps, and actually omitted this part, which is the heat map. So actually, heat map is a very, very interesting map if you have an extremely large data set. And those data sets, then it could get it clustered with colors, right? So that data that have close values will be clustered together and be represented with a color of maybe red, then another color, and then you could have that categorization, and you can even introduce other variables into it, and variables like maybe clustering techniques like the k-means clustering, or even any other kind of clustering that you feel. So you could just use it to get the cluster, and then you have your legend to explain that. So heatmaps is really good, and most of scientific research, there's a lot of heatmaps there because they have a lot of data, and then they just want to show that this is the pattern, maybe like in a cell, that in a cell that is when you have a cell, human cell that probably has lung cancer, and the one that doesn't have a lung cancer, those kind of results now is awesome for you to present them in a heat map, or to show the positive numbers or negative numbers in your data. You could cluster the positive together. You can make it even supervised heat maps or unsupervised and all of that. But mostly, you really don't have to do much about that, except if the kind of analysis you're doing actually represent that. I'm actually seeing this yellow stuff here, but I didn't know what I did. I hope it's not affecting what you actually visualize. I'm not sure what I pressed actually. Sorry. I think it's still appearing. It's not there initially. What did I do? Okay, but I hope it's still visible. You can still see. We'll just go on. So now the next in the power of sevens is the 7 tips and techniques on data visualization for effective communication. So you need to actually choose the chart that best reflects the characteristics of the data and conveys the kind of message you expected to convey, and make emphasis on what the purpose of that data you're visualizing is, right? Imagine when you're asked to show the of um, proportion of countries in the continents in the world, and then you maybe like 4 continents, for instance, and then you decided to just come and show a line chart, for instance, or a scattered plot. It's not the best type of chart to use. If it's a proportion and the data are not much, the best for you is for you to use a pie chart or a bar chart, for instance. And then you need to choose colors that are visually appealing and homogeneous. So for me personally, when you want to choose color, you have to understand if you have an audience, for instance, maybe Nigeria as a country, contract me to help them to do some kind of analysis of the survey that is being done in terms of the count of the population of the country, and then I'm analyzing data. Automatically, I will factor the color of the country. They have color that is important to them. They have color that represents them. That is the Nigerian flag, which is the green, white, green. So I'm going to incorporate that into my data set automatically. So to what extent, to what variations I do that will not depend on me and my visualization techniques. So that's a tip for you when you want to select a color. So sometimes it's not just about you, your own color. Like for me now, my favorite color actually is blue. My favorite color is actually blue, but when I'm speaking, not for myself, but for as a speaker for an event with Little Drop Educational Bootcamp, I need to understand the kind of colors that best understand them. And I look at the logo, and you could see it's based on that. I introduce this color here, this line here, and then I use it interchangeably and all of that. Something, it may not exactly be the same colors, but something that will support their own color. But at the same time, I still have my favorite color, some still being flaunted along the line, which usually, if it is a word, it's definitely black. And then if it's visual, sometimes it's blue. Like if you want to do some visualization and you say blue, I love blue a lot, right? So you could now, your biasness, if it's a, and then if it aligns with, if it matches with what the purpose in terms of the color, the brand, what your audience represents, you could align that together to be able to choose a color that is appealing. And sometimes there are some colors that is just maybe based on your line of field or your research, you just choose the color based on that. And it's important you know the kind of the label axis. You need to actually, the y-axis, the x-axis, you need to label it accurately. For instance, if you're showing a bar chart of the number of occurrence of COVID in Jamaica, for instance, and then you actually didn't even label the XYZ that it's COVID, and then you didn't label the others, you just show a data and a fine chart. People don't know what exactly is this. They'll just see a fine visual, but no meaning to it because they don't understand. You don't have the information are missing. Then if the line charts, or maybe it's a bar chart and it has double colors, you need to have a legend to explain that. And then if sometimes in data points, you have to do that so that you can accurately interpret and the data, and then makes it easy for whosoever is visualizing it, and then you need to, there's one beauty about visualization. When you visualize your data the right way, you understand, you kind of create a connection, a bond with whosoever is visualizing them, with whosoever is seeing it. If you cleanly, for instance, now you are a researcher, you've made an hard work, you've done a lot of things in terms of your research, your experiment, and all of that, and you did not use the best colors, you did not present your results, you did not present your charts in an appealing way, in a way for your interviewers to understand. You're probably not going to get reviewed quickly. You probably have to have back and forth, and you probably even get a dex rejection sometimes. But when I've seen a lot of papers that really doesn't hold water, but the quality of the papers, the quality of the results are top notch. The summaries are straightforward. They were easy to understand. They were simple. They were aligned. There were no mix of fonts, maybe using Arial here, Times New, Times Roman there. It was really, really compact. Yeah. So that's to tell you how much visualization is important for you. And imagine you having a manager ask you to just do something and then to analyze the data or to write a report, and you decided to add some visuals to it, and then you make it to be aligned, even in terms of the lengths of from here to here. You make sure if it's a PowerPoint now, you could add grid lines, rulers, and all of that, and make sure everything is aligned. And once the seeds, those are the little things that are being considered, and then it's kind of attracts your viewers, your audience towards you, and they'll be like, oh, I love this. Okay, let me see, let me go deeper. What is this person saying? So you need to make use of that, and then you need to provide the context and explanation to help the audience understand the story behind the visualization. And your design, as we've said earlier, it has to be simple. You don't have to use a grid line when it's not a must to put a grid line. It's not a must for you to put background. In fact, so far, most of the best visualizations I've seen are those with no unadulterated background, right? Just plain background. And even when they want to use a color, mild color or dull colors. But you see people having a thick color background, and then it's not start distracting them from the actual data. And then it's just the background color that they're interested at, and they are probably not seeing it. Like for instance, now this PowerPoint presentation I'm presenting, there's a lot of images background under this, but if you don't look closely, you won't probably see them. Like you could see this here right now, you could see this more like a balloon or something. These are all intentional background images I actually put first to understand what I'm trying to say. But imagine I didn't make this transparent. I decided to make it bold. You definitely won't see what is written on top of this place, right? And you may have noticed that on each of this of slide, I have an image by this side here. I have an image to kind of that may give you the understanding of what I'm going to talk about here. I try to look for the best icons that is in line with this. So even without probably reading too much, by just glancing through, the topic, and then look at this, okay, this is what you should be expecting. So these are the kind of techniques that you need to imbibe. And sometimes you don't really need to go down over the board when you're trying to make your design. And you need to use appropriate scale axis. For instance, now there's a ratio. Most visualization tools have auto ratioing where you automatically just determine the level of the x-axis or y-axis. But sometimes you may have to do the adjustment yourself, right? So if you want to do that, you need to make sure that we are using the scales, the ratio that best represent the data. There are some data set that once you start stretching them, like trying to expand them, it looks stretched, and then it looks like it's not an original data, like it's screen munched data. So that kind of data does not give accuracy or even give the authority to what you are visualizing. And also, you need to test the visualization with different devices and screen sizes to ensure it is clear and legible. Recently, most tools are beginning to create to be able to including the feature for you to have optimized reports for a mobile. For instance, in Power BI, they made a lovely serious changes in the last couple of months, like 2 months, when it comes to making optimizing your reports. If you already have your reports in Power BI, you can just optimize it straight up in less than 5 minutes for mobile, to be adaptable for mobile. And the beauty of it is, if you're optimizing it and you're making changes to the optimization in the mobile view, it doesn't affect the actual view. So it's crazy. It's really lovely, but it's a simple thing. They actually didn't think to go deep, right? So you need to these are some of this 7 tips and techniques, which I believe if you try to sit and then imbibe some of this and then resonate deeper, you would probably understand how much it's important for you to have these tips and techniques at the back of your palms. Next, here we're going to talk about the data visualization tools, right? So as you can see here, data visualization, so you just imagine this search engine, you're searching for the best data visualization tools. I know some people are coming to this presentation are very in the back of their mind, oh, okay, maybe you're going to talk about the data visualization tools and all of that. Hey, that's not going to happen, but I'm going to help you, right? The truth of the matter is that one size does not fit, will never fit all when it comes to data visualization. That is just the truth, right? A lot of people chat me up sometimes when we're talking about data. They ask questions like, oh, which tool should I start with and all of those things. First, you need to start with the very basics, but most importantly, the purpose. Why do you want to actually learn these tools? For instance, now, if you're a researcher and you want a tool that just help you visualize your graphs, right? Then graph path prism is awesome. And then if you want to do your analysis, for instance, graph path prism is also there, but SPSS may be more powerful depending on the kind of analysis you could do. Minitab is there. But in most of the cases, even whatever you want to do, spreadsheet could do it for you. Excel or Google Sheets could do it for you easily, right? So now, based on data visualization tools, I try as much as possible to categorize it for us in a way that we're going to understand. And I kind of categorize it into no code, low code, and coding. In most cases, people see the no code and low code as the same thing. So what no code or low code means is simply it doesn't require much technicality. It doesn't require you to understand any programming language and all of that. For instance, in Excel now, you may have to write functions or expressions when you want to analyze your data, but when you want to visualize, you actually don't need to write any code. You just need to click, 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 adjust, format, and here, hope you have your charts, right? So spreadsheets could be part of the no code. And surprisingly, I should have added PowerPoint, even Microsoft Word here in no code. And a lot of people, when I tell them that PowerPoint and Microsoft Word are actually visualization tools, they were surprised how, but you can use PowerPoint to visualize your data. I don't mean by you designing it yourself. No, like creating bar chart, pie chart, bar chart, line chart, any kind of chart from within Microsoft Word or PowerPoint. It's very simple technique. It's a very simple tool that people, that you need. Sometimes you may just have a table of five five categories and numbers, and then you want to present them in a chart. You don't need to take them all the way to Excel. You can do that all the way from PowerPoint and also Microsoft Word. So it's also the data visualization tools, and all those are under no code, right? Now we're going to see how we could do that from PowerPoint in the next couple of slides. Then the low code are those that probably require little coding and all of that, and that's the Power BI from Microsoft and also Tableau. And one of the questions a lot of people ask, oh, which one is the best and all of those, and well, it depends, right? But if you guys still want to know which one is better and all of that, there's a survey by Forbes in the next slide, and then maybe at the end of this the webinar, I could take us to Google Trend, and then I could show you how you can compare to search based on Google Trends. What are, for instance, Power BI versus Tableau. In Google Trends, we could do it, and we could see maybe in a region like maybe South America now, we could see, okay, in South America, Power BI and Tableau, which one is being used the most? And then you see how Google Trend will present it for you visually and very lovely. And once you see that, you'll be able to, that could help you to decide on which one you want to learn, right? But if you want my recommendation, then I'll tell you go for the one that works best for you, right? And sometimes your job determines the ones you use, right? For me, like when I started picking data visualization tools in my research, I make use of Graph Prism, usually majorly with Excel, and then the coding part, I make use of RStudio, and my favorite being ggplot2. And sometimes I just like the base R packages and then use it to visualize. And then when it specific to some kind of research, maybe for differential spreadsheets and all of that, I could make use of enhanced volcano. If I want a volcano plot, I could use a fit map. If I want a heat map, those are all specific packages in RStudio. So that takes us to the coding aspect. We have a lot of coding, JavaScript, where you use the DJSP or wherever you want to use there. Python, there's a lot of libraries in Python, which is the Matplotlib, the Seaborn, the Pandas, and so on. And RStudio, you have a lot of packages as well. ggplot2 is one of the most popular, and then even my most loved one by me personally, right? And it's simply because you can actually incorporate ggplot to even other tools. You can pipe it and then have a beautiful visuals, right? So now, the next, which in the power of 7, which is probably the last part of the power of 7s, is the 7 best data visualization software of 2023 for small businesses, and this is according to the Forbes, right? And I'm not surprised that Microsoft Power BI is actually topping the list, and actually I'm beginning to be more inclined or biased towards Microsoft Power BI compared to Tableau, which I was actually using in the past. Yeah, but think I have more strength in Power BI these days, and I'm beginning to love Power BI more. And the reason is simply because, excuse me. And the reason is simply because Microsoft Power BI has a lot of other tools. Like for instance, now if your organizations or even you personally, if you're making use of Microsoft's Word, Excel, and all of those things. So, and you're looking for visualization tool, it's rational for you to just pick up Power BI on your own because you can easily integrate Power BI. Like for instance, now let me just show you something here. So when you come here now, you come to insert, for instance, you can see insert Power BI, and it tells you enhance your PowerPoint storytelling by including Power BI reports directly into your presentation. For instance, I already have a PowerPoint, a Power BI dashboard I've already created. Instead of maybe sharing the link, and for you to when you publish your dashboard, if they don't have the license, they can view it. Power BI desktop, you can design your Power BI free on the desktop app, right? But if you want to have it maybe to collaborate with your co-worker and all of that, you have to pay for it. You have to go premium, right? So now, if you don't want to share the premium with maybe in a presentation, you can just click on this Power BI here, and then it brings a copy of that data right there on your screen, and you can even do all interactions just as you have done in the dashboard, saving cost for your organization. So that is why I prefer to just go with the Power BI, because I can easily integrate it with the other tools that I make use of, that I use oftentimes. Excuse me, sorry. I didn't even bother to take a time out to make sure that my audience actually hearing me, or there's any questions, right? Am I too fast? Are we following? Any questions or so far, or we'll leave the questions to the end of the presentation?
We are with you, sir. We
Okay,
are
yeah.
following along, like that.
Okay, yeah. So the 7 best data visualization software of 2023, according to, for small businesses, I have to emphasize on that, according to Forbes, are Microsoft Power BI having the highest rating, followed by Tableau, and then ClickSense, and ClickFolio, the Looker, the Zoho Analytics, and the Domo, right? And amongst all of these things, there's how the integration, software integrations. Actually, you can, for instance, you can integrate Tableau with even Microsoft softwares, right? They are always connectors, but it's not as seamless and as easy as if you're connecting tools that is developed by the same company, right? So for instance, now if you're working in Excel, you could probably connect it to external data source, maybe from Tableau or ClickSense, whatever. You could do all of that, but sometimes it's not really easy, and sometimes you have some system glitches and some technical issues. So I just prefer you stay within the, for instance, if you're making use of the Google's Workspace, for instance, right, then it's rational for you to just go ahead and use Looker, right? But if and also if maybe you within the Salesforce and all of that, then it's rational for you to go with Tableau, because it will be easier for you to integrate Tableau into Salesforce on all of that. So those are some of the things that will help you to decide on what to do or what to choose when it comes to the visualization softwares that will work best for you. And sometimes what you want to do or what you want to visualize will determine the right one for you. So this is where we are, our case study. So now in the case study, let's say this is a case study 1, which is TikTok March 2023 total sales, right? So here is TikTok sitting in the middle of the night with the torchlight on, and then this is the data he wants to visualize. This is my electronics. Yeah, we need to make money, right? For instance, just joking. So now let's assume I'm writing a report about my Tip Top Mart 2023 total sales to my manager, and I have case one, right? Which is I have scenario one, which I could just write it in Word. Like in 2023, Tip Top Mart had a total sales revenue of about 2 million, right? With a revenue of 922,000 in the electronics category and $395 in the home decor category, and about 607,000 in the clothing category, right? So I could just write this, and then my employer will, okay, or my manager will be like, okay, this is good, but there's not so much insight that can be gained from this, right? Compared to the next one, this is the same info that I'm representing here, just a table. A table is also a form of visual, right? So, which you definitely, most dashboards or most reports, you have a table visualizations. So look at this, for instance, now, category, total sales revenue in USD, electronics, home decor, clothing. So if I ask now, which will you prefer, one or two? Two, right? Yeah. No one is answering. So maybe none.
Two.
So yeah, two. Yeah, but this from this two, I would like to ask, can you probably determine the percentage of sales that come from electronics? Can anyone try by just looking at the table here or looking at the sentence? Can anyone be able to do that? No, unless you do the unless you divide the sales from electronics with the total and multiply by 100. That's when you can get the percentage. Then why do that? Why stress when you can just represent this in the visuals, right? So now let's create a chart from PowerPoint and compare to answer the question I just asked here in terms of determining the percentage of sales for each category. So before I show us how and where we can do that, the demo, can someone tell us which, from what we've learned today, which visuals do we think it's going to perfectly show us the proportion of this chart here?
The pie chart.
Exactly, the pie chart. Awesome. An alternative to that is the what? The bar chart, right? So now we can create a visual for this same data set, this small data set, without necessarily leaving PowerPoint. It's super easy, right? And it's right there in PowerPoint all this while, and a lot of us really don't know it, right? So those are just some techniques. So all you need to do is just come to insert here, right? And then you click on charts. And in the chart, you select the kind of chart here. So there's a lot of charts here. We have the box and whisker, histogram, Sunbar, Streamer, Reader, and all kind of charts. But we still want to use that pie chart. And we have a lot of types of charts here. We have the 3D pie, we have the pie of pie, we have the bar of pie, and we have the donut. I actually like donuts more than the pie, but let's just use the pie chart since our audience wants pie chart. So what will happen right here is once you click on this, it automatically brings Excel here for you to just enter your data, right? So we could reduce this. You can drag this, do whatever you like with it. And then here, we just need to type our categories here. So we type here categories. And then we type electronics, which is 922,000, right? Then we have home decor by 395,123. Then we have the last one, which is the clothing, right? We have the clothing. We have the clothing, which is 60700. We don't have the last one, so you can just delete this, right? And once you close this, sorry, you should have your chart here. We already have our chart here. Once you close it. And the beauty of this is you can change this. Let's say I can just change the style and pick another one. I saw this is nice. And this shows us the percentage. And you could just even edit it right here. So imagine you probably have to do this in Excel or maybe another visualization tool, and you want to make a changes on it. You have to go back to that tool. But the beauty of doing it here is that it's your report, so you can just do everything here. Tip top maths, total sales for 2023. And I know some of you already imagined that I didn't make a lot of sales. Hey, it's just Q2 or probably approaching Q3. So we can still make more sales, even though tip top math is existing in my dreams, right? So you could do a lot of things with this. You could do a lot of formatting, like a lot of formatting options here. You could come here, reduce the size. You could even increase just the size of this one, of this chart alone. You could do a lot of things here by clicking on it. We have formatting. The legend you have here, you want to take out the legend, you can remove it. If you want to take out the data labels, you can, a lot of things for you. You could even do the filters. If you don't want to show for clothing, you just want to show for electronics alone, you could just do this and then only electronic shows and all of that. So you could do a lot of things with this right within Power BI. And now within Microsoft PowerPoint. Now let's now compare 1, 2, 3. Which one answers our question? And which one is more appealing? Definitely it's 3, right? Because it's, if we want the percentage, we could just come back here now and then come to the one with percentage. This one is even showing, yeah, this is the one with percentage. I saw a percentage one here, and then you could just remove the data labels, for instance. No, sorry, this one, you could just remove it if you don't want it. Sorry, you could come here, percentage, and here you could just double select this and then take out the value and then take out anything you want to take from the label options. A lot of things you could do, the styles, the colors, you could do a lot of formatting and a lot of things you could do with this right here. So this is our case study 1, and in terms of the visuals, right? So I'll leave this to you, maybe at the end of the slide, for you to just do more of practice and then learn how much you could play around with this and all of that. So the next here is an extension of that same data set, but this time around, we're going to just see what we could do quickly, a demo. This is still the same data set. This is total. The previous one was total, while this one shows the sales for each of the months for the category from January to June. Like I mentioned earlier, we are still in June, so don't think tip-top maths, hypothetical company is not having enough sales. Yeah, we can still add more sales and more data to this by the end of the year. So now we'll just head over how I like to do it. I like to just head over and then play with data. So we're just going to quickly see what we could do with pivot tables and pivot charts for this same data set here, this more data set in pivot in Excel. Then we'll do that for Power BI, and then we have the conclusion, and then we go to the bonus. Okay, I hope no one is seeing that bonus yet. Yeah, so let's head over to Excel. So this is Excel. Yeah. So in Excel right now, so usually for you to make use of pivot tables, if you are new to pivot tables, then pivot tables are features in Excel that helps you to quickly dive into your data set, understand it, and even create visuals from it. So now, but before you have to, your data has to be in a table. And the easiest way for you to convert your data to a table, just highlight it, just the way I've done right now. Just highlight your data. This is already in a table. Highlight it, and then you press Ctrl T. But because this is in a table, it's not going to appear. Let's try it and see. I could just copy this, Alt ESV, and then I place it as values, for instance. So this is the values. So for you to understand, so this is value. So if we decide to use pivot table for this, it's never going to work, right? It's not going to work. But if we decide to, for instance, this pivot table, insert here, you're not going to have any much of this unless it convert it for you into a table. So usually it's just easier for you to just maybe just convert your thing to a table yourself, right? So for you to convert this into a table, just highlight this and then just Ctrl T, and then it has header, and then put OK, and then you have this, and then you can change it from any format, whatever colors you have. So now let's go to pivot table. For pivot table, and it's usually I like to name my tables. So here you can just, once you click on the table, you could name it here by putting the table name, and then you put table name, which is tip top. tip-top sales, tip-top math sales, because if you don't name your table sometimes and you have a lot of data from Excel, you want to import them into external data base, or you have a lot of tables, it will only be showing sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. Or if you have multiple tables in a sheet, for instance, now we have table here, they don't have name, you probably don't know which one is which. So in one sheet, I always advise you name your table here. So these are one of the best practices when you're actually trying to analyze your data in Excel and all of that. And maybe you may have come across some data analysis skills, or possibly in future engagement with me with either IDP or any other change makers companies that actually needed me to present or do one or two things, and then you could also see that there. Or on my YouTube channel, I've been trying lately to upload more videos on YouTube, and then I've been creating series and courses for us on YouTube, but it's been a lot of that. So let's just name this top math, and you shouldn't have space when you are naming it. So sorry, that's important actually. So we have tip-top math. We've named this table now. So for pivot table, just click on anywhere here. You insert and you see pivot table here. So now it asks you two questions. If you want it on a new worksheet, automatically a new sheet opens here, and then you can now start playing with your pivot tables. But I actually want us to have it on the same worksheet so that we could do it. So you select existing worksheet, and then you click here to put where you want it to appear. I want it to appear here. So I select here, and then you enter, and then enter. And then we have our pivot table appearing here already. So now this is pivot table, and then these are your datas. So with pivot table, you can just quickly, usually, you remember this table here, we have our values, which are our numbers as sales revenue. So they are usually best for you to put them as values or in the x-axis for you to visualize. So measurable data is actually best put there. So let's have this now, our values here, and then you just drag this category here, and you see it already summarized it for us, creating the initial visualization we have here. So this was how I actually created it, right? And I just copied it, just copied this and then pasted. And automatically, because this template already has some formatting condition, automatically changes to this color. I really don't do much about this. So now this is it here. But we could do another thing. I want to see this spread by month. You could just, okay, we could even just do this now and put it in the columns, for instance. And it shows us here. You could see now clothing in January. This is it, February, March, and all of that. And the total for each of the clothing across each month and the grand total and all of that. So this is the power of pivot tables, which is even far much better than what we have here, right? So this is a pivot table, and this is the visuals on its own. And another interest, you can format this also, change the colors, do a lot of things you want to do. But because we're already running out of time, and we still have some to give some minutes for question, and also to see the bonus part of this presentation which I want to give us. So now the next thing I would like to show us right here is for this pivot table, there's something that is very important here in pivot table, which is pivot chart. So from this table, you could just click on pivot chart, and it automatically changes it to a chart for you. So it's more like an AI feature, right? And it even gives you recommended pivot tables. For instance, before this now, from this data, from this pivot table, let's assume you don't know the kind of, we did this manually, right? You can also do this automatically. So how do you do it automatically? Click on your insert, select your pivot table. No, sorry, you come to the pivot table side, table design side here, and then recommended charts here, right? So you have recommended charts here, and then it's recommended the kind of charts you want for you, right? This is for charts, but we also have recommended pivot tables. And for recommended pivot tables, you have it here. You click on recommended pivot tables. It shows you some, like here now, the first here is count of sales revenue in USD by category. This one is just a count and not showing the numbers. You have another one here, which is sum of sales revenue by category, count of sales revenue by month and all of that, count of sales revenue in USD by month, continue. These are just recommended. So imagine if the pivot table we want to do is this one here, all we need to do is just to select this and click OK, and automatically it does it for us, right? But we've already done what we wanted, which is this one here. The next part I want to show us here in Excel, which is the last part here in terms of visualization, is we can convert this pivot table to a chart easily without me doing anything. Just click on pivot charts and it changes. And when it changes, it gives you which one do you want. It's kind of select the one you feel is most appropriate, which is a column, clustered column chart here. And you could change it if you don't want it, but let's just click OK, and then let's see what it shows us. So this is it. So this is a representation of this. So this is a pivot chart, and you could change the style as usual to any other style. Those of you people that like black, you could just put it, you want to put a black background, right? But remember, you have to consider a lot of things when you are changing your background. The colors of the charts you are putting on top of the background, what are the color? Does it complement it? If it's not necessary, then just take the background off, just make it plain. And then this, yeah, so that's just about that. And then you can just try to look for a lot of things you could do. You want to show the data labels, fine. You want to show the data table below. This is awesome. I usually like this a lot. Sometimes you just show it here, and then you could do a lot of things right here without really stressing yourself. So visualization skills, I want to assume it's important for everyone to have, and it's not something complex. It's something that is just at your tips and depending on the need. So as time goes by, you have to start advancing the skills. Practice definitely makes perfect, right? So you have to reiterate, play with data set, play with data. Look for a clean data. If you have analysis is your problem and you are not interested in analysis, no problem. Look for clean data like this. This is a clean data that you don't need to do anything. You don't need to do any transformation or extraction or anything. All you just want to do is just visualization. So it's going to help you regardless of the kind of position you have or the kind of tools, or whether you're a researcher, you're a worker, you're an intern. In fact, I learned pivot table when I was an intern in Jumia, Nigeria, right? And it's really interesting, and I'm really happy with the way I grew in Jumia before leaving for Orange Dogs and all of that. And some of the skills I learned in Jumia is still with me till today. I actually learned pivot tables in Jumia, and simply by just watching one of my line managers using it right in front of me, and when I saw it, and I'll be like, oh, okay, so what do you do with this? And I'll say, okay, what it does mostly is once he has this kind of things, and then maybe he wants to send an email, you just make a pivot table, use the snipping tool. I never knew my laptop or my desktop has a snipping tool. Then even like it comes automatically. So you just snip it tool, it snips it, copy it, and then paste it as part of his emails. And I learned that. And since then, I've always been playing around with pivot tables, doing a lot of things randomly on pivot tables. I could even add expressions to a particular pivot table from the back end to do some calculations for me, and then presenting pivot table and all of that. And I basically learned how to do most of this, not necessarily pivot table specifically, not learning directly from anyone. Since then, that was 2017, I think, I basically just play more. You most likely won't be a perfect or a good data visualizer or analyst or wherever without you practicing. And you can't practice if you don't get your data. You have to do the hard things, which is the hard things, play with your data, right? So you can create a data set for yourself. I created this myself just randomly, and then I do that a lot, and then just play around. Oh, okay, what do I do with this and all of that? So you could do all of that. You could see how we're just playing with all of this right here. So that's that about Excel. So now let's head over to our presentation, and then we'll go to the last part of the visualization here, which is Power BI. I love Power BI a lot. I hope you do too. I'm not advertising for Microsoft actually, but I love Power BI. So let's head over to Power BI. So this is how Power BI looks, right? So for Power BI, I already loaded the data set here. It's very easy for you to get your data set into Power BI. Once you open Power BI the first time, even before you get to this stage, it's going to ask you to select your data. And you have get data almost everywhere. There are many ways you can get data into Power BI. For instance, here it's telling you that build visuals with your data, select or drag views wherever. Here you have here, come here, you could just get your data from here, right? I have a lot of analysis I've done here. You can also come here, get data from here, a lot of options. Look at, see a lot of places you could get, a lot of places you could get your data from, common data sources, and from database, from Five, from the Azure, which is if you're into cloud and all of that, if you're a Power Platform, Azure, Power Platform, and all of these are part of Microsoft. So that's why sometimes it's just good for you to stay within a universe, right? Then we have other online services here. You can bring them from Salesforce. You can remember I mentioned Salesforce, right? And then you could, Salesforce actually are the builder of Tableau, right? You can bring data from there. And then you could also connect to Tableau from here. You have Databricks, you have You have Zoho Creator, which is Zoho. Actually, they have their own analytics too. So that means you can cross-use tools, right? So by all of this, and then if you have a file, you just bring in your file. If it's Excel, you bring it in. If it's on SharePoint, if it's text or save, whatever format, a wide range of format. And the beauty of this is she can also use R and even Python within Power BI, but that's not the point of point of discussion today. So visuals, let's just quickly visualize this data with Power BI. The data is clean and it's just a very small data set. So first we want to have a card field. I think of maybe we have a card field to show us the total sum of sales. Now, before that, the beauty of Power BI, if you just get into see Power BI now, this is just a quick thing for you to understand in Power BI. Subsequently, maybe from other classes or YouTube's or even on my YouTube channel subsequently, I'll be posting more on Power BI and even Excel, and especially some tips and tricks for you to get works done faster. So now the beauty of Power BI is once you click on category, it automatically gives it to you in a table. And you click this, it gives you in a table. So usually before I start any visualization, I like to have it in a table just to look at observe how my data is. If I'm in Excel, I use pivot tables to have a glimpse to understand what my data is like. Now, the beauty of Power BI is that from here, you can just click on any kind of chart and it automatically converts it for you, right? So let's say we want to convert this to a bar chart, for instance, it automatically converts to a bar chart. But remember, your x-axis is empty, so you can just bring this into x-axis. We don't want the legend, for instance, we want this. So 2 clicks, category by sum of sales revenue, it's here. So you put your mouse over it, it shows you. And if you want to format this, you do a lot of formatting. You come here to the format pane, and then you could add your title. I could turn this off and then the title goes off, right? I could add effects to it, like visual border, and then this becomes thick, right? I could change the colors of each bars, right? Comes to this here now and come to bars, and I want to use different colors. I could just turn this on, and I want to give electronics, maybe let's say this color. This may not be the best color, but this is just quick something for you to just see. And then we just want the color to be maybe something greeny or something, and then darker, and then boop. You could also just play around with this properties here, the padding option, the effect. This is tooltips, is already turned on. Tooltips means just for you to see what is here. And at the same time, you could even come over here and then just see the, when it comes to the data, the values here, you could just come here to the values here, and you want to change the color of the value, you could change that as well. It shows the value here, another color. You could, if you want to display unit in thousands, it's going to give you in thousands. If you want to display it in whatever, you could do a lot of things, right? So let's just assume this is completed. Yeah, let's just assume this completed. Let's go to the next one. So the next thing we want to see here is just want to see a card field here to just show us the total sum of the sales revenue. And you could just click on the card field, or better still, you could just remove this. There are many ways to do that. You could drag this and put here, and it gives it to you as a bar, for instance, and then you select the chart, what you want. You want it as a card field, and this automatically shows us the sum of the sales revenue. So we will have the sum of sales revenue here. And the beauty is that you can also insert a logo. If you want to start a logo, you can insert your logo. If you want to start text, you could just insert text, and then we'll put our text here. Tip top, mat, sales for 2023, for instance. You could do a lot of things for Martin, just as usual, bold it, do coloring, do whatever you like, right? You can even justify this, make it whatever you like, put your logo, do whatever you like. So one thing I would just like to show lastly is just maybe we want to do a line chart, for instance. So line chart, we have like a trend. We want to see the trend over a month, right? And then we have this. So now it's initially showing here as a bar chart, right? If you like it, fine. But if you don't like it, just click this and show it as a trend, and you can see data points, right? So this is here. We can also have the same bar chart that we had earlier and pie charts we made with PowerPoint. We could just do it here, just play around with this. And then we want it by category and then percentage value. Okay, this is going to be category as the legend, and then we have the total sales as the values, and we have this. You can play around with this, change the color as usual and all of that. Let's just assume And if you're actually doing a bad dashboard that you want to build a dashboard, this is how you build your bad dashboard. More, start arranging, aligning, and all of that, putting all of things, and then you can see it becomes beautiful, right? So these are just visualizations, right? And the beauty of this is that you could filter, for instance, now you click on electronics, automatically all other visuals here filters, and it shows you that the total sum of sales for electronics is actually 785 on electronics, and you already have it here, this changing, and you also have it here showing you here. So you remember I told you a tips when I was mentioning for football team A, team B, you give it a color A, and then next you're giving a color B. Look at this now. Electronics here, look at the color that it's having, and look at the colors that it's having. Is this a best practice? Definitely no, this is not a best practice. So you just have to make sure you have consistent color and all of that. So the last thing here is you could just summarize, and then it gives you summary here from this bar chart. And then this is a summary. Sorry. Yeah, so this is a summary for bar charts. You can just drag this. You can drag the summary below to appear below this here. So you could have this kind of bar chart, and then you don't want to stress yourself. You could just do the summary, and then you could edit this as much as you want so that it's perfect the English. You could do the same thing for this one too. Here, summarize it, and then it summarize it for you, and then it's all visualization skills. But imagine if you want to start typing all of this, it's really going to take a lot of time. So there's a whole lot you can do with Power BI, and then it could be easy, it could be intermediate, it could be complex, all depends on what you want to do. So this is just pretty easy. If these are the kind of things you want to do, you can just drag and you enjoy it. But if there's a whole lot of things you could do with Power BI, there's a lot of things that I actually don't really know how to do with Power BI. I still learn Power BI almost every day, right? So that's that about our case study. And before we conclude, then this is the conclusion from today. This presentation is that the effective data visualization is essential for conveying complex information, as you can see from the demo. And visualization can be created following best practices and using the appropriate chart and tools. You can see how we made use of transition from just having a sentence about our sales to having a table and to have a pie chart. So we really need to know the appropriate tools, when, how to use them. And we should be able to also choose the visualization techniques and tools based on the data and objectives. And lastly, we should be able to practice and iterate to improve data visualization skills. So on the bonus part here, I'm going to show us how to use Bing for effective communication, for instance, and how to use Microsoft Designer. So let's head over to here. So now this is a paper, this is a publication, one of my publication during my master studies. And let's assume you have a lot of this kind of papers that you really want to read, right? And then you really don't have that much, you just want to get some information from this particular data. You can see how lengthy it is. This is an example of an heat map, this is a box plot, these are just bar charts. And these are also graphs, which were done with GraphPad Prism and all of that. So this was actually done in R, Python, I think, yeah, Python. Yeah, then this was an online tool, and then this was also using the Python scripts, yeah, but in a web interface, yeah, and all of that. So now what I want to show you is that just right here, you see this B sign here, Bing, just click on it. If you're doing it for the first time, you're actually to activate, right? So now Bing is very important here in the sense that it just act like a chat GPT for you. You can ask it any question, and then it could do anything for you. Like, for instance, ask it what is Power BI, for instance. And the beauty of this is it gives you references which are accurate, and then it's deals with live data. If you head over to your free version of your chat GPT now, ask who is the president of Nigeria, for instance, you probably be saying Muhammadu Buhari. But if you ask Bing, you definitely see something different, which is more current. You can see this here. It shows, it gives you references. Yeah, so it's not just it's not a kind of hallucinating generative AI, but that's not what I want to show you. There's a lot of things you could do from there. You can compose professional, casual, enthusiastic information, funny, and whatever you want to develop. But what I want to show you is we want to use Bing here to summarize on this data. So I could just start with a Bing, and then Bing will probably tell me, hey there. I usually like to ask them because I like the responses they give me. I could ask Bing sometimes, how are you doing? Sometimes when I'm bored, I just come, how are you doing? And I would say, hey, make me laugh sometimes. Yeah, all of those. Yeah. But that's by the way. So what I want you to do is yeah, I said it's doing well, right? So so now I just ask Bing, can you summarize the content of this page, for instance? So let's see what Bing says. So you could use it to summarize any page. Oh no, sorry. I should refresh this. Okay, yeah. Yep, it's working. This web page is an article from the journal Advances in Biological Regulation. As you can see here, and on the study investigated the effects of this. And I could ask Bing, who are the authors? Who are the authors? For instance, who are the authors of this tab, and then enter. And then it tells you who the authors are. You could even ask what are the key materials and methods used. So you could use this to speed up your activities. You could use that a lot. What are the key materials and method used in this article? For instance. So just think of any kind of questions. Use it. So imagine you have lengthy things you need to read, and then you could just use it. Okay, now look at what he's saying. I actually use this because it's a paper that actually co-authored, and I could verify easily. Okay, the key material methods using that RNA-seq, a technique that measures it. Yeah, qPCR, a technique that quantifies the occupancy of this and this. It's not just telling you the materials and methods, it's also telling you based on what it was used for in this particular paper. So Bing is actually a good tool for you if you actually find yourself on the web and you want to summarize anything on the web. The next I will just show us is maybe for designing, right? Which is Microsoft Designer. So it's just like having a text to a visual. For instance, now you just want to, you have a, let's say you have a book launch next week, and we say, or we want to launch our data analysis platform, I can just say, hey, and a Facebook ad for a data analysis platform launch in July, and generates in a few seconds. Most of the visuals you see in the presentation were actually generated here. So it gives you insights where you can start from. And then you could just pick this and you start designing right there. You could just check. Usually the prompt is the most important thing. You need to work with change the font size, the prompt. If you really don't like what it's giving you, you could just rephrase and then search again, and then all of that. So, and the beauty of it is, let's say we want this, you could just select this. If you feel there's no any changes needed, you could just download it. If you want to customize it, you just click on this customize here, and then you could change the typing, and then little drop, educational bootcamp, data analysis, course series will be available next month, next 3 months, and all of that. And then here, image, you could add your logo here by adding it from my media, and then also including the text if you have additional text and all of that. So this is a useful tool, right? And there are a lot of other more tips, but I think 5-minute and scale, I intend to spend just 1 hour 30 minutes. And thank you for listening, and I would like to take your questions and feedbacks. And if you want to connect with me, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Rookie Analyst. I'm actually looking forward to upload more videos for you to learn one thing or the other, and also we can share our thoughts together on LinkedIn. And lastly, you could send me an email. Yeah. So
yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Muhammad Abdul, for a very engaging, enlightening, and detailed presentation on how to use data visualization techniques to communicate effectively. I personally learned a lot from the discussion, and I'm certain in fact, everyone here has one or two things to take home. So for anyone that has questions, please do feel free to unmute yourself or type your questions in the chat box. And I'm sure he's ready to do justice with. Okay, someone's already asking, sir.
yeah.
Someone has a question in the chat box. Let me read it out.
Okay.
Someone said, Bing AI and Microsoft Design are free too?
Yes, please. They are very much free.
Okay. Is another question? Yes, sir. When is the best scenario to use ChatGPT, different from Bing AI and Co?
Well, that is actually a tricky question, and not because it doesn't have an answer, but it's because it has a relative answer. So when it comes to AIs, you can't actually say which is the best time to use which one or the best time not to use anyone. Let me give you an instance. I was reading on one of this Nigerian blog, and there was a Nigerian that actually got his admission rescinded simply because the SOP and other things he wrote was actually not easy. Actually made use of AI to write those things, right? So in that kind of scenarios, I wouldn't ask you to write anything on use ChatGPT to write any of those things, but you could use them to get insight, to get templates. So what most of us do is we make use of these AI tools and we'll just write it and then we really don't change much. But let me just show you guys something right now. For instance, I could just come here, open AI and ChatGPT, for instance. So now for ChatGPT is very good for you for brainstorming, right? Very good for brainstorming. Hey, ChatGPT, would you recommend using AI tool, or let's say generative AI, to write a personal statement? You'll be shocked with the response, although the response sometimes changes. To tell you no, but it can help you with one of generative, yeah, to write personal statement, for instance. And then let's see what it tells us. So you can see it's best to use AI generated content as a starting point of inspiration. But I could like, okay, I get it. Okay, I get it. Write me a personal statement for MSc in data analysis. Analysis at Tip Top is University. Don't mind me. I like using my brand for almost everything I do. Yeah. So now look at it. Here's an example. Ever since my first encounter with data analysis, it's awesome. So because of how awesome this thing is, a lot of people get carried away. But let me show you something else. Now, this is this, right? I'll show you something else now and you'll be shocked, right? So when some people do this, I'll just copy this now. And then I come to writer, for instance. It's an AI detector and I paste this. And then analyze the text, you'll be shocked. So it will tell you the percentage of whether it's written by AI or written by human, right? So, okay, it's more than the text it needed. I just needed to reduce it. Sorry. Let's say to this place here. Let me just take this one out and then let's just analyze this. You can see it's telling you that this is 99% human generated content, right? So a lot of people, when they see this in AI detector, they'll be like, oh, this is human generated. Okay, then let's just go ahead and do it. So they feel like it's okay, but there are more sophisticated AI detectors. I'm not saying this AI detector is not good, right? It's extremely good. It sometimes detects the AI, but when you give ChatGPT the best prompts, then you probably get unique answers. If you take note, while I was saying there, I was being specific here, and I was like tip top East investor and all of those things. So those kind of more informations you give it actually make it to be more unique. But at the same time, I really don't advise you put your personal information out here, because this is they're probably using it to use it to train the model, right? That's why I actually disabled chat history. But if you ask the same question to Bing, for instance, Bing will automatically list references for you. So that's why sometimes I like using Bing for when I need references for some things, right? And when I just come to Bing and then I put this, we recommend using AI for, right? It will tell you the same thing. And then I could ask the question, next question, it will definitely write for me, but it's going to automatically include references for me, right? So to just give blah, 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 and then let's paste. Okay, I get.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the next question, sir. Someone said, is it possible to use Microsoft Designer to create videos?
Yes, it's possible. You can use it to create anything you want to create, right? Because you just, but not much sophisticated as videos that you want to create. The thing is, even right here, you could see here, this is a video, but you just kind of give you short videos, and then you kind of add some pages to it, and then you can cluster it together and all of that, just as you have in Canva. But if you actually want to make your videos proper, there are more better tools for you to use to create videos, like the what's the name of this tool? InVideo, invideo.ai. You could use InVideo. You could use Jasper. You could use which other one? I think Canva are also incorporating AI tool. So there are a lot of other tools that you just need to just give them a line of text. You can even give them the script and they convert it for you to videos. There's a lot of them on the internet actually. And not all of them are free, but they have some kind of free trial. And then you could use them with watermark. Like InVideo, you could use it, but it has a watermark in it and all of that. Yeah.
All right. So we have another question. But is being able to do all that ChatGPT does?
Yes, it's being able to do all of that, but like from my experience, I think ChatGPT is more rugged than Bing, because it's you could do a lot of things with like you could have a lot of lengthy charts with ChatGPT compared to Bing. Bing has quick limitations in terms of that, but Bing has advantage over ChatGPT because it's up to date and then it connects to the internet live, while ChatGPT is only supported, I think, up to 2021, I think. Yeah. So depending on what you want to do, what you are looking for, and which is more convenient for you, like me personally, I alternate between both. Yeah, so sometimes when I need some information, I could use Bing on my phone. So if I just need to search for Google, or maybe Google search, I know when to use Google search. If I want to search for something with images or trends, I use Google. And then when I want to just kind of interactive charts with references, then I make use of the Bing. Or maybe I want to summarize a page, or I'm on a web page and I want to summarize that, I use Bing. But if I want to brainstorm something, I use ChatGPT, and sometimes I use Google Bard actually, and I make use of Copy AI sometimes, and I use Writesonic, but recently I've not been using Writesonic. But ChatGPT, Bing, Bard, probably sufficient for you. So once you test them a couple of times, you know which one and when to best use them. But overall, you have to be very careful with using any of all these AI tools, because they are just meant there to inspire you. They are not out there to actually replace you, just to inspire you to ease your tasks. For instance, you want to write a copy, you want to have a copy, a copywriter, and you want to write a copy of a particular landing page, but you don't have an idea where to start. You could just describe your website and ask ChatGPT or any of this AI tool, write a landing page for me, and they write it, and from there you get the inspiration, then you write yours, you tweak it, and do all of things, and paraphrase, do whatever you want to do, but just to make sure that you are adding that personal feel, authenticity, and personality to it. It has to be personal, it has to be authentic, it has to be genuine. You have to put that touch to it. So, yeah.
Now, so I think the last question we have for today is, which of the visualization applications would you recommend? And is there a course you would recommend to learn it?
Well, when do you really want to know which one you have to do something? There are a lot of questions that you need to answer. Is it that you just want to have a tool that you just want to use it just for visualization personally, or you want to really learn, become a data analyst, or you want to get a job by using that tool? Because for instance, now you go to LinkedIn, you tap Power BI, there are recruitment for people that know how to use Power BI. There are those that need to know how to use Tableau and all of that. If those are the things you are looking for, then it's a totally different, and then we'll have to have a discussion and then recommend based on that. But however, I personally, I feel if you want to start visualization, start from Excel, right? Because it's what you have readily available with you, right? You really don't need much installation. You already have the Office package. You could just start with Excel or Google Spreadsheet, right? Google Spreadsheet, you don't even need, you just need a URL, right? Because it's in the cloud, and then everybody have access to Google Sheets. So you could just come over to your Google page, for instance, now just open a new page on Google tab and then click here. And then you see Google Sheets here. This is Google Sheets, right? And once you open Google Sheet, just like Excel, you could open a blank, have a lot of text you could see. So you have the insert part, you have charts, pivot table also, and all of those things. Start with that, and then from there you start understanding better. But if you're looking for a sophisticated tool for BI, business intelligence, I would recommend you go with Power BI. And in terms of courses, most of the courses out there, there are a lot of paid, but I've been trying to create some courses for a free Power BI. I actually had one last year, which was like a closed session, but I'm trying to make it more open this year and then try to see how it goes. And maybe if it's available, then you could connect with me and then I'll let you know. But there's still a lot of YouTube channels and a lot of things you could learn from. It don't necessarily have to be from me. And I'm sure the Little Drop Educational Bootcamp and also having a lot of things in stock for you to acquire coding and non-coding skills. So the options are there for you. You just have to look for which ones is more available. Like me, I like to learn from people I can connect with, people I probably share stories with, or people that actually have time for me, right? So I like personal learning because I don't have luxury of time. I could just message someone, I want to learn something from you this time, 1 week. Some people charge, some people don't charge. And then sometimes just one day, one thing. But I do a lot of self-learning. So you can connect with me and then we could have a better chat with respect to the one you want. But Microsoft Power BI is actually cool, as you can see already. But it's important you understand Excel because it's kind of connected. Like they make use of the same feature for in terms of data cleaning, which is the Power Query. Excel Power BI makes use of the same Power Query. And then if you understand some expressions and functions writing in Excel, you probably understand writing data expression measures in Power BI and all of those things. So that's just how it is, right? So any other one?
Yeah, there is one left, sorry. So it is our plagiarism checkers also able to detect AI generated text like the AI detectors?
Yeah, they do. In fact, there are even some free ones available, right? Like, let me show you one here. There's this one here, which is free. It's called, this is also a detector. There's this one here called content at scale.ai. It has a detector. And what it does, it's, no, not this one, content at scale. Content at scale. So now the content at scale AI detector, it helps you to detect articles that are actually written in with AI, and then it tells you exactly where it is. Let me say we just copy this for instance. So these are free, not as accurate as maybe the ones like Quillbot, Turnitin, and all of that. It's actually detect plagiarism. But at the same time, if you're a publisher, some research publishers actually even encourage you to use AI to write some things for you, and then you just have to, and you don't necessarily have to put it as a quote, or you just have to indicate or that okay, it's AI. But largely, a lot of people don't accept using AI. Like maybe if you're a professor or you want to apply for an MBA program and you write in a personal statement like this. Now you can see now, this is telling you that how robotic is your content is telling you that it's likely both AI and humans, right? Because of the pattern and the content. And when you look at this here, look at this here, highly likely to be AI generated. So some people use this to kind of tweak their writing, just change all of this and all of that. So the best for you is once you have a writing generated for with any AI, I usually advise you kind of sit down and then try to make get inspiration from it and make those things your word. Add those personal thoughts and feels and purpose to it, and you don't have to worry about being detected or being catched. But if it's something casual, maybe just to find something, you can make use of it. maybe you want to send an email or a message to your WhatsApp contacts that usually maybe they buy your homemade chicken or homemade rice or something. You could just use ChatGPT. You don't have to worry about plagiarism for that, and it will definitely ease your it give you more time, and it ease a lot of things for you. So that's just that, and I hope that answers your questions perfectly.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
So we've
So
come to the end of the webinar. So will you be sharing your slides with us, sir? Someone has.
most definitely, I do share my slides, yeah. So, but I don't know how you want to get it across to the users. Maybe I'll get it to the organizer, and then the organizer shares it to everyone since they already have the email. So I will definitely share my slide. Yep.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. Yeah.
So thank you, everyone. Till we meet next month again.